Hi, friends. So today I wanted to talk about anger and see what the scripture says about it, and then the importance of being able to control that anger. So if we look at James 1 verses 19, it says, be slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. So we're supposed to listen more than we speak, and more than being quick to anger. That's James 1 verses 19. And I think a lot of times too, when you're quick to being angry and you don't make the other person feel heard, because sometimes when someone gets angry, they're so quick they always have an answer. Like they don't let you finish your sentences. They're the second that you get to speak, they're thinking of a response instead of actually listening to what you're saying, listening to what your concerns are. They're just waiting for a comeback. It's not about a comeback. It's if you want to be able to have a healthy dialogue with whoever you're speaking to and not, go back and forth and let it frustrate you. So we have to make sure that we're slow to speak, slow to anger, and quick to listen. You have to be able to listen more, right? And you want the person to feel like they're being heard. When you're quick to being angry, you don't make the other person feel heard. The person might walk on eggshells because they don't know what's going to make you upset. That's not healthy, right? I think some of the ways that we can do to minimize that or help with that. I mean, meditation obviously works. We talk about that a million times. I love meditation. But some of the things we can do is maybe take 30 seconds to pause and think before you respond. And we have to be able to respond and not react. And sometimes it's helpful to just completely just leave the room. If you're someone that you get angry quickly, I think it's important to just, because you know yourself, you're going to get worked up, you're going to explode, how you can get, what your triggers are. So it's important to just walk away until you cool off. And let the person communicate that too, so they're not following you. You just walk away. So it's important to pause, take a few seconds, and think about what you're going to say before you say it. And we have to be able to respond and not react. Another thing is, I think some of the ways we can also control anger, if you're someone that has anger, is the person that's receiving it, the receiver, I would tell them to try to be compassionate with them and try to be patient with them, because when someone gets so angry, and I've seen this before, they can't help it. I don't know if it's like anger management or anger issues, but it's something really deep within them. A lot of times they can't help it, and it's important for us to empathize with them and be compassionate with them, and try to understand how it might be something small for you, but it's a big deal for them. So I always try to be compassionate with them and empathize with them. I actually had, a long time ago, I had an employee that was, she got very upset because someone else asked her to clean up something. And I was like, well, what happened? She said, well, she made a statement saying, we need to clean up. She wanted the place organized. And this is not someone in leadership. And I was like, well, was she talking to you directly, or was it just like a general statement? And she said, no, it was just a general statement. And she was angry. And I was like, what happened for that? She's like, and then I followed her and I asked her, what did you say? So she confronted her. So she confronted her, and the girl said, well, I said we should clean up. And that made the girl furious. Like, she was crying. Like, when you're so angry and you're so frustrated that you cry, it's not tears from like happiness, sadness. It's so, like, when you're so angry, you cry. Like, I've seen people do that before. She was so angry that she was crying and her hands were shaking. And she's like, I'm going to attack her. I was like, wait, you can't make threats. That's when you're crossing the line. You can't make threats because you have to make sure both of you are safe. But anyways, the whole point is, you see how anger can ruin things for you. It can ruin relationships for you. It can ruin jobs for you. She ended up losing her job, to be honest. She made a lot of threats. So, yeah, you can't do that. You can't threaten someone's life. for saying, clean up. That right there showed me she has a lot of anger. And I felt so bad for her. I was like, I know something she cannot control, So meditation definitely helps with that. It calms the mind and it changes the amygdala part of your brain and regulates your emotions. I promote it every time. I have to meditate. It's a requirement for me. It just helps me relax and get ready for the day. And so another thing is, I'm trying to remember where I was at. Another thing I think would also be helpful is for the person that's angry is I would read Bible verses on anger and study them and see what the scripture says about that. Like, for example, when James 1 verses 19 says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Make sure that goes over your head over and over and over again. Also, I would read Bible scriptures on what it says on how to treat your neighbors. Love your neighbors as yourselves. You got to be kind to them. You got to be respectful to them. Love your enemies. Pray for those that persecute you. So scriptures on loving your neighbors. You need to also read scriptures on forgiveness to be able to forgive. Because when you're quick to forgive, because Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7. When you're quick to forgive and you love your neighbors, you don't get that angry. You don't get to that point, And then if you do, like sometimes, I get frustrated too, but I have to remind myself, this is God's child. I love her. I have to tell myself that because I'm human. I still have that, right? I don't get angry, but if I feel any negative emotion or someone irritates me, I go back and I remind myself, this is God's child. I have to be respectful to her. He's going to fight my battle. It's not for me to fight the battle. So I let things go. So you have to remind yourself, read scriptures on anger, what it says about anger. Like James 1 verses 19, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. We got to listen more, okay? We have to hear the other person's perspective. And a lot of times to the person that is angry, they think they're not wrong. When you're quick to listen and not to speak and not to be angry, you can learn that sometimes you're not always right. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not always right. And so you can learn something out of it, basically, if you're quick to listen instead of quick to be in anger and quick to speak. So yeah, those are some of the things that I would do. And then also you can always, of course, ask God for help, for discipline, for self-control, and do things that help you de-stress. Kind of get ready for the day and just like recharge. For me, it's meditation, it's walking, it's exercising. You guys know I love fitness. So meditation, definitely read my scripture. For you, it could be walking your dog, playing video games, yoga, riding your bike, whatever you enjoy doing to de-stress. The self-care thing is very important, okay? So those are some of the things that I think are important when it comes to anger, and you cannot let it control you. Also, if we look at Proverbs 15 verses 1, it says, soft answers turn away wrath, but a grievous word stirs up anger. That is so true. When someone comes to you aggressively and you speak and you lower your voice, that's what I do too. When I have employees that are irritated and they get aggressive, I lower my voice. I speak more calmly and tone it down a little bit. So that way they're forced to pay attention and calm down to be able to hear me. Because if I'm speaking softly, you can't hear me if you're up here. You're going to have to actually pay attention to what I'm saying. So it calms them down too. So I speak to them in a calm demeanor. So soft answer turns away wrath. So when someone comes up to you aggressively, you speak to them in a soft, gentle way. Because when you speak to them in an angry way, the same way they respond to you, that's going to be worse. And a lot of times when you fight with them and you get angry with them, you can't beat them at their game. Like if someone's angry and I try to be angry with them or at their level, they're an expert. They're not going to beat me. So I'm just going to get myself worked up for no reason. So you can't beat them at their game. So you have to speak to them in a soft answer. And That again is Proverbs 15 verses 1 that talks about anger. Soft answer turns away wrath, but a grievous word stirs up anger. So when you say things that are grievous, it just makes the situation worse. And they want to attack. And if they're an expert at that, you're going to lose. That's not the way. Wow. You see, the scripture is like, I'm just fascinated every day, seriously, because it's so amazing, because it talks about everything in life. It's talking about anger and how we should respond to that. A soft answer turns away wrath. In the scripture, it's telling you how to behave, how to handle things. That's amazing. But a grievous word stirs up anger. That's so true. When I approach someone aggressively, they're gonna get more aggressive. They're gonna feel attacked. And I tried this once. I know someone who, I have a friend who gets angry quickly. That's just her temper. She just gets angry quickly. And one time she asked me something, I forgot what it was. I spoke to her in a gentle way, and it worked. Like, she was very calm about it, and this was years ago, and we're not friends anymore, because you grow apart. But so that actually works. You should try some of these. All right, let me know what you think. Leave a comment and let me know what you guys think. Okay, bye guys.